Good morning, Madam President. I have always just wanted to say that. It just sounds so good, doesn't it? Thank you for being a part of this. It's just very special for us to have you here. And I wanted to start with letting you introduce yourselves and tell us the years that you served.
I'm Joyce Parks. I served as president from 1974 to 76. I was on the board prior to that as a publicity chair. And I think I did membership, can't remember for sure. Then I was past president for 2 more years, so I was on the board a while.
Okay.
Okay. I'm Linda Jenkins, and I was president 93 to 95 and 2005 to 2007. I was exhibit chairman for a lot of years, a district chair, and of course past president and then president.
And I'm Ann Vining, and I was president 1980 to 1982. And then I took on the role of training chair for 16 years and just enjoyed learning and doing everything.
I am Katie Fletcher, and I was president in 1989 to 91. And I loved working with young children. That was one of the most important things I did. I'm from North Carolina, and at that point I moved back to North Carolina, and I still work with young children to this day.
One of the questions that I wanted to ask that was not on your list, because I know we all wear many, many hats. What were you doing besides serving on the board? What was your other job?
We're going to go in order again?
Sure.
Okay. I was director and teacher at the Lawrenceville Presbyterian Church kindergarten.
Okay.
And I was there 10 years. I did 2 years prior to that at another church. But that was where I was when I was president.
Okay.
And I was a preschool director teacher at Chestnut Grove Kindergarten for 5 years.
I was at the Atlanta Speech School for 27 years, directing and teaching. I like the teaching role the best of all. Oh yes. And taught Sunday school too. And on the board.
And I was, you ready?
I'm ready.
I was a director, well, I was a teacher for about close to 15 to 20 years at Memorial Drive Community Children's Program in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And I'm originally from North Carolina, and when we moved down, the minister of that church followed the van across the street and asked us to come to church, and then asked me to be on the preschool board.
Of
So I
course.
served there.
He saw a good thing, didn't he?
Yes.
Yes.
And I also served as training chairman on Georgia Preschool Board before coming to this.
Okay. The current membership at Georgia Preschool Association is right about at 1,600. What do you remember about membership when you served?
That's where I kind of draw a blank, but it certainly wasn't 16.
Wow.
I think maybe we might have had 100 when I started. And we were doing, well, you may ask them about workshops later, but probably around 100. And we would have 40 to 50 at regional conferences.
Okay.
I can't be precise, but we had a huge membership.
Oh, yeah.
We would be over 2,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people who came to the conference would number 1,000 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
We had some very, very big conferences. That's why we kept moving from facility to facility to match what our membership demanded.
Mm-hmm.
Ian?
It was around 2000. Yes, we had a huge
We've got a ways to go. We have
membership.
work here.
Well, it sort of has gone up and down, the membership.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just a pattern, but we can't let that stop us from going back up to the top.
Absolutely.
Other organizations formed,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's
directors
true.
and teachers had to decide
Yeah.
where they would go.
Right.
Okay.
But we continue to be the best choice.
Oh,
Of course. Yes.
and the best conference.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Anything,
The
Katie?
best relative of this, we had I just found it on, in my big book. It told me we had 3,000.
She had to be the winner, didn't she?
She did, she's the last and she had to be.
Right.
Yeah, well, really,
Wow.
it was quite a group of people. And it was a good time in the country for people to come. I think that made a huge difference.
We've been really very lucky to have had the Galleria. It's a wonderful
Oh,
space
yes.
to have the conference. They've been very good
It
to
is.
us. What do you remember about the places that you had conferences?
Well, when I was president and on the board prior to that, I think we had regional meetings, and we'd have maybe a Friday, Saturday, and workshops the way you have now. And there was almost always one in Atlanta at probably Decatur Presbyterian is one place, other churches mostly. We went to Savannah, we went to Augusta, we went to Macon. I can't remember other places. So we tried to have two, one in this area and one south.
Okay.
The first conference I went to was at Dundee's.
I remember Dundee's.
Yeah, I remember
Wow.
A great facility, easy to get to. I don't think it even exists
that.
anymore. And then we went to the Hyatt Ravinia, which was a fantastic place, great atmosphere. And then we were so big that we had to go to the International Conference Center near the airport.
Yeah.
And we stayed there for many
We
years
did this.
until they sold it to
Which is
become
now
a runway.
World Congress.
But we never did go to the new International Conference Center. Actually, it wasn't big enough. So that's why we came to Cobb Galleria, and we've been here ever since.
Georgia International Convention Center. And they worked so well with us. There was one year when enrollment was down. And so when enrollment is down, membership down, money is down.
Mhm.
Well, we maintained the numbers to continue going to the convention center, but we couldn't pay the down payment that they required up front. And so Holly Mills and I went out there and negotiated with them, and they let us do it on the payment plan every month until we got it paid up. And then we never had to do that again. But that just shows you how organizations and conventions will work with you if you will go and sit down and talk.
Great.
Plus, we were a trusted customer already.
Mhm.
They knew.
Yeah.
Oh, they knew. Oh,
We
they
were gonna pay
knew.
your bills.
And we had always paid our bills. And we drew a lot of people to their place. We would have up to 3,000 come to the convention.
Yeah, they did. And mine was about around near the weather channel. So
Okay.
we had, and that was interesting
Okay.
because just a lot of reasons I liked it, and it seemed very good for people if they could
Good location.
get there easy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I guess
that's
that's one reason we had a lot of good attendance.
We've been really lucky to have great keynote speakers.
Oh.
I mean,
Oh,
just over the years, just such memorable. Who do you remember?
I remember Keith Osborne. He was a professor at, he was in Chicago when I first met him, and he came out and spoke in Athens. We had some
Yes,
conferences in Athens at the Continuing Education Center. He and Dr. James Himes, they call him Jimmy, Dr. Jimmy Himes, those two were instrumental in helping start Head Start. They went to Washington and had a lot of input in that. And so they're outstanding, but there's so many others. Wonderful poet and writer for children, Dr. Leland Jacobs.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh,
Wow.
he was the most charming man.
Oh,
I really enjoyed him.
that's
Yes. Oh, well, and I got to meet, not me, but hear, I said this last night, hear Margaret Mead speak.
You got a lot of oohs and ahs over that one.
A person that I had encouraged getting for several years before he could actually come was John Roseman. And he was very good. Other singers like Learning Station, Sharon Lois and Brown. I don't know if anybody remembers Amy McCullough. She was the Yes lady, the I Can lady. Oh, she was fabulous. Gene Feldman is always a great person and friend of Georgia Preschool. Burton White, Jim Trelease. Burton White wrote the book on childcare.
Yeah, I knew
That
this,
is 3
yeah.
years of life.
The first 3 years of life.
Yes. Those are my favorites.
Even some good ones.
Yeah.
And
Greg and Steve, we secured them, I think one of the first years we went to the National Association of Young Children.
Yes.
And we heard them, we liked them, and now they were more energetic. They were a little younger. But they were precious, and they have been coming to us and supporting us all of these years. And Rosa, who manages them, just praises Georgia Preschool every time that we're around her. Now, one of the things that we did was to reach out in the state of Georgia, in the city of Atlanta, and internationally also, but we got Noah Langdale from Georgia State University. He was the president there, and he came and spoke, and it was amazing to hear him, because as I told him, I said, Dr. Langdale, I remember going to Georgia State at night, and you were still there walking the halls, greeting the students that had come from an 8-hour job. You encouraged them. So he was all about education, and he gave us some really good pointers. And then we reached out into just the regular public schools. And what was the PE guy name?
Larry Satchwell.
Larry Satchwell. Physical education, there could not be a better educator anywhere. And he has always supported us. Then we reached into Georgia State's early childhood department and got Danny Darby, 4-year-old black man that was absolutely outstanding. Knows what he's doing, how to go after it, how to reach out to children, how to inspire them. But one of my favorites was Dosha Zavikotsky, who's a former president of the National Association of Education of Young Children. And she came and she supported us from the national way, helped us, guided us through so many of our adventures. She would come and go to board meetings, and she would stay the night. One night at a conference, I had a horrific headache, and we've got a picture of her massaging my head to help me get over the headache. I mean, that kind of person. And she has written a little book about, it's called Dosha Stories. And in it is a priceless thing. It says it's about children, wrinkles and perspectives. And they ask their children, what is old? Old is getting white hair and wrinkles and having a husband who whines all the time. That was Dosha. That was Dosha. She could take the most common thing and move it into the best learning adventure that you've ever seen.
And I have to say, Dosha is mine because she came so many times. She's been super. And we had a special celebration for her. Remember that? And she was very, very pleased and happy with it. And she meant a lot to
hey, it's not all wonderful.
her. No,
What were some of your challenges? What was tough?
Well, we, during my time as president, we were working with Senator Terrell Starr, I think he's Griffin or somewhere in that direction, and trying to get the cutoff age for entering school to be, it was December 30th. And we felt that children who's entered and had birthdays late were at a disadvantage. And so we lobbied to get the cutoff date September 1st, and that was enacted while I was there. So it was a challenge in that a lot of parents didn't understand and didn't really support that idea, but I think people have come to see that it was a very important thing to do.
It's not really a challenging thing or negative thing, but in a way it is. Glenn Ann O'Neill and I went to Perry, Georgia, when they were holding meetings across the state to inform the public of what the state free pre-K would be.
Mm-hmm.
And we sat there and listened to these guys talk from the State Department. And the one thing that they said that Glenn Ann and I just opened our mouth and said, no. The applications would go out. The preschools would fill out those applications. They would be, the ones that were chosen would be awarded a pre-K site. The state would give them all the furniture and materials and everything they needed. The question finally came up, what is your oversight system? Oh, we're not going to have an oversight system. Oops. That's what both of us said. Can't believe putting all these millions of dollars in centers and there would be no oversight.
Mm-hmm. Did that change?
I don't know. I'm not in my knowledge. But they said it would just be impossible. Well, if you're giving away that much money, it should be possible.
Absolutely.
Ann, anything?
One of the most challenging I found throughout my stay on the board in trying to further preschool education in the state of Georgia was that when you have children, whether you are in a church facility, you're in a daycare, to make money, that kind of thing, or you're in public school, no matter where you are, you can teach children. It's not just all play and no guidance.
Mm-hmm.
There are ways to teach children to learn. And Georgia Preschool, I felt, did very well in that area. For example, when Greg and Steve would come, they were teaching them songs, but they were also teaching them how to move with their bodies. And you teach the whole child, not just a piece of that child. You've got that whole child there, so you have to address all of the issues. That was a major force, and we still work with that today.
Well, for me, it was probably not a negative thing, but it was the accreditation of the National Association of Young Children for all schools. And it was a really important thing. At Georgia Preschool that I was in, we worked really hard on that. And while I was there, we had, in the state of Georgia, we had ended up countrywide, we had 3,000 preschools that were accredited by the National Association of Young Children. In Georgia, there were about 300 at that time, and my school was the 7th. We worked through it and went through it, and it was a great thing that happened. The other thing was that later they wanted, when we were doing first, second, and third grade, and getting that in our preschool, the state made this decision that preschools could not do that. So we lobbied the governor to get it so that it would be all right for daycares and schools.
Mm-hmm.
They used to have those ages in the school, and we won.
Well,
And that was a plus. And I'm very big fan of that place.
All right, last question that is not on your list,
okay.
okay?
Okay.
What advice would you give to new board members or a new president?
Don't get bogged down in the details. You'll have to handle the details, but keep your joy and your love for young children in all that you do.
I did all that, but be flexible. We see that you have had to make changes. We had to make changes. You have to adapt to the times. Teachers are very different. It's hard to pull all these backgrounds into a conference agenda. But I would just say, keep up with what's good
Mm.
in early childhood.
Right.
I like the way you are being represented at the Capitol and encouraging other people to know what's going on down there. You cannot ignore those kind of laws,
Right.
but only support the good ones. There's a lot of harmful things going on out there.
Yeah. Gotta have discernment.
But keep the good things and stay strong.
Yes.
That's right. Staying strong was one of my comments. You've got to stay strong. And if you know in your heart and in your mind and in your gut that it's something that needs to be done, stay strong. And do what's right for children. Before I took over as president, I had not been in the association that long. And Mary Sled, who was one of the earliest members, she said to me, "Anne, always do what's best for the organization."
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and those are good words. And one of our early board members,
Katie,
spoke that.
Well, we've had so many good ones ahead of us, I'm telling you. You think, well, is there anything else we can do? We can follow and be aware of what happened before,
Mm-hmm.
what's happening at the present, and what the future looks like. And we need to be open in ways that are helpful for children and parents, and for the community at large, and the places we work, and the children we have.
I cannot thank you enough for your dedication and inspiration and for sharing that with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.